Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the importance of carbohydrates. And we're going to cover four main topics that are metabolic roles, structural roles, physiological effects, and associated diseases. When we look into metabolic roles, the first thing you need to understand is energy. So we know that the body's preferred fuel is glucose, and this helps the brain and the blood cells. Also, you need to know that the glucose in the body is not wasted. The excess ones gets converted into a form called glycogen. This glycogen is stored in the liver and the muscles. And carbohydrates also act as the building blocks for our body. When you say building blocks, you need to know that it helps in formation of the ribose forms of RNA, deoxyribose forms of DNA, and it also forms galactose in other metabolic molecules. So the thing you need to know is that is carbohydrates doesn't just provide energy, but they also provide the raw materials for life. Next, we're going to look into the structural role. Carbohydrates acts as the nature's construction material. So that means like when you build a house, you need cement, right? So like that, for our body to build structures, we need carbohydrates. So sugars are attached to protein molecules on lipid membranes. These help cells to communicate with other cells. So stuff like antigens and antibodies, all those need carbohydrates. And when you look at plants, they use cellulose. So cellulose acts as the main material that's needed to make cell walls. And when you look at insects, the exoskeleton is made out of a material called chitin, which is also another carbohydrate. So the microorganism cell walls is also made out of carbohydrates. So this acts as their main protection. You understand that carbohydrates is not just energy, but they are also the main building blocks for life. Next, we'll look into the psychological effects. So this is where the carbohydrates takes an interesting turn. Eating carbohydrates increases insulin. So that helps tryptophan enter the brain. And more tryptophan means more serotonin. So which means this acts as the main ingredient for your mood basically. And mucopolysaccharides, they are carbohydrates that also helps to build up connective tissue like cartilage and sclera and also the cornea, which are in your eyes. And then you look at gluconic acid. The liver uses gluconic acid to detoxify many toxins and drugs. So when you take multiple medicines, your basically liver does all the work. And then there are some drugs that are derived from carbohydrates. So just keep that in mind as well. So when you look at it, when you look at the bigger picture, carbohydrates quietly support many normal body functions that we don't normally see. So these are important points to write down, especially if you're having exams. So when you look at associated diseases, first one is diabetes. So we all know that diabetes means high blood sugar and the body cannot make enough insulin to process this. So glucose can't get into the cells and all these glucose get built up in the blood. And the next one is galactosemia. So this is basically a inherited disorder where the body cannot break down enough galactose. So this builds up in the liver, brain, and kidney. So basically, it can damage all those organs. So the next one is glycogen storage diseases. So this is again another inherited disorder, and this is when the body cannot break down glycogen properly. So this can lead to low blood sugar, enlarged liver, and muscle weakness. So, but this mainly depends on which enzyme is actually missing. So when you look at lactose intolerance, so basically it means the body is not making enough lactase enzyme. So this can result in, I guess most people have this condition where they can't digest milk and can cause bloating and diarrhea and this gassy, uncomfortable feeling. But mostly it's not dangerous. Next one, you look at hereditary fructose intolerance. So this is another inherited disorder where the body can't break down fructose. So this can cause conditions like eating fruit sugar or honey can cause low blood sugar and basically vomiting and liver damage. So they basically should avoid factors. When you look at G6PD deficiency, this is when the inherited, it's basically a inherited enzyme deficiency, and this is when the red blood cells break down easily than when exposed to certain foods. So this can lead to hemolytic anemia. So essential pentosuria, this is a rare benign inherited disease. So this is when the body cannot metabolize a sugar called xylose. So it goes into urine, and so far there's not much symptoms and there's no treatment that's actually needed for this. So these are a few of the conditions that can occur when you look at carbohydrates. So when you look at the bigger picture, let's put everything together. Carbohydrates, fuel for the body, builds important structures, and supports normal physiological function. And whenever this metabolism is disrupted, it can cause a disease. So instead of memorizing all these facts, I believe if you just have a glance about this full picture, you can get an idea of what you need to write or what you need to know. So good luck, guys. I hope this helps. And if it does, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you.